The story of Christianity's rise to prominence is deeply intertwined with the political machinations of its early leaders, most notably Emperor Constantine the Great. His conversion to Christianity in the early 4th century marked a significant turning point in the history of the religion, transitioning it from a persecuted sect to the state religion of the Roman Empire. This shift had profound implications not just for the faith itself, but also for the mechanisms of control employed by those in power, both in religious and secular spheres. Constantine's Edict of Milan in 313 AD legalized Christianity and paved the way for it to become the central spiritual authority within the Roman Empire. By endorsing Christianity, Constantine sought to unify his empire under a single faith, believing that a common religion would foster social cohesion and political stability. However, this move was not purely altruistic, it was also a strategy of control. By aligning himself with the Christian faith, Constantine could wield the church as a tool of political power, thus embedding religious authority within the structures of the state. The ramifications of this alliance were profound. Over the next few centuries, the church became increasingly institutionalized, with hierarchy and dogma solidifying around a centralized authority. The establishment of a canonized Bible, a process influenced heavily by political considerations, led to the exclusion of numerous texts that were deemed unorthodox or threatening to the power dynamics of the time. Books, such as the Gospel of Thomas and the Gospel of Mary, were left out, largely because they challenged the hierarchical nature of the Church and promoted individual spiritual insights over institutional doctrine. The exclusion of certain texts and the establishment of a singular narrative were not mere acts of religious enforcement, they were deliberate strategies for maintaining control over the burgeoning Christian populace. By presenting a unified doctrine, the Church could not only dictate the beliefs and practices of its followers but also wield significant influence over political matters. This control was further enforced through mechanisms such as excommunication, which served to silence dissenters and reinforce conformity. The historical legacy of Constantine and his successors illustrates how religious institutions can evolve into powerful tools for social control. In many ways, Christianity became a vehicle for hierarchy, with the clergy positioned as intermediaries between the divine and the laity, echoing the power structures of the very state that had initially embraced it. From an anarchist perspective, the intertwining of religion and state power poses significant ethical concerns. Anarchism fundamentally opposes hierarchical structures and advocates for self-governance and individual autonomy. Anarchists argue that any system, be it political, economic, or religious, that relies on a hierarchy inevitably leads to oppression and coercion. Christianity, in its institutionalized form, has often been critiqued by anarchists for its hierarchical nature, which can stifle personal freedom and promote submission to authority. The Church's historical role in endorsing various political regimes, sometimes even in opposition to social justice, serves as a case study in how religious doctrine can be co-opted for control. Anarchists advocate for a reinterpretation of spirituality that emphasizes personal experience and communal support rather than institutional oversight. They seek to reclaim the radical elements within religious traditions that promote equality and liberation, drawing on texts and teachings that challenge existing hierarchies. The legacy of Constantine, particularly his pivotal role in the establishment of Christianity as a dominant religious force within the Roman Empire, invites us to critically examine the complex relationship between faith and power. This historical moment marked a significant turning point, as Christianity transitioned from a persecuted sect to a state-sanctioned religion, fundamentally altering its nature and the role it plays in society. The institutionalization of Christianity under Constantine not only provided the religion with unprecedented legitimacy but also intertwined it with the mechanisms of state authority. This relationship has led to profound implications throughout history, as the Church often found itself in positions of power, influencing governance and societal norms. Historical instances, such as the Inquisition, the Crusades, and various forms of religious persecution, highlight how the alliance between church and state has at times prioritized power and political agendas over the core tenets of compassion and love that are central to the Christian faith. This juxtaposition raises critical questions about the integrity of a faith that is so closely aligned with political power and the consequences of such an alliance for both individual believers and broader society. In contrast, anarchism presents a compelling critique of these established hierarchies and the ways in which institutional power can distort spiritual practices. Anarchist thought advocates for a radical rethinking of authority, promoting a decentralized and egalitarian approach to spirituality that seeks to liberate individuals from the constraints imposed by institutionalized religion and the state. This perspective emphasizes personal autonomy, communal decision-making, and the importance of direct relationships among individuals in spiritual matters, rather than through intermediaries or hierarchical structures. Anarchism encourages a return to the original, more grassroots expressions of faith, where spirituality is practiced in ways that are inclusive, compassionate, and free from the corrupting influences of power. In this light, the call for a more decentralized understanding of spirituality becomes not just a critique of past practices but also a vision for a more just and equitable future, one where faith can flourish independently of oppressive systems.